today's Friday live topic is the keto flu. And it's interesting because I think some people assume the keto flu topic is only something that new people have to deal with. But in actuality, I think it can affect us all. It can be a myth, straight up. It can be a 100% myth that you never ever have to deal with. But even the most keto veterans have been known to slip up once in a while, including me, and deal with some of the consequences. So I'd like to get right up into it because I have a ton of show and tell for you. I have a bunch of products that I recommend, and also products that I think you have to be careful with and to avoid. So why don't we get right into it? Are any of you starting or restarting Dirty Lazy Keto today? And it's okay, you don't have to be embarrassed. Are you either starting for the first time or maybe restarting? Let's see if I can put it this way. The keto flu is basically when you are feeling dehydrated. So similar to like Happy New Year, right? Similar to Happy New Year where you're like drinking a lot or champagning and celebrating and having all that kind of good fun. A lot of people feel like a hangover the next day, right? Where you're feeling like dehydrated essentially. So I want you to think about the keto flu in a similar way. Your body is in ketosis because you're burning fat instead of carbohydrate. And when you're burning your fat in ketosis, that process, that biological process, takes a lot more water. I'm sure that you've noticed on the keto diet or dirty lazy keto that you go to the bathroom maybe a little bit more than before. You might notice, especially in the beginning of like restarting or starting dirty lazy keto, you'll go to the bathroom a ton and you might lose a ton of water weight right away. Now we all get very excited like, oh yay, we're losing weight, right? And you are. I mean, you are. Let's enjoy every pound. Don't get me wrong. However, I want you to keep in mind that there is a water weight component to it, and that is a big process of being in ketosis. So that's normal. That's to be expected. That's the way it works. And whenever you are losing a lot of water in ketosis, going urination a lot, peeing, let's just be blunt, you need to replace those fluids, or else similar to on New Year's Eve, right? Similar to the, you are going to have like a horrible type of like hangover feeling. And, you know, mildly, that would be the symptoms that we're talking about, like the headache, the grouchiness, feeling kind of dizzy, feeling kind of just gross. Those are the mild feelings, but if you were to let that dehydration get worse, that's when it gets more serious, okay? Hopefully that kind of paints a little bit better understanding of what that's all about. But I want to make this clear. Being in ketosis, going through the quote-unquote keto flu, it's something you can avoid. As long as you're taking proper precautions to hydrate yourself and balance your electrolytes, this is something you can totally skip. It's not like a hazing or a requirement of dirty lazy keto. You were able to just sidestep this altogether and just go straight to the good parts. I should have opened with that, right? Anyway, but this is very different from sugar withdrawal. You know, sugar withdrawal, and I talk about this in the book on page 183. When you stop mainlining carbohydrates, even if you're just having like a cheat day or a cheat holiday, like a lot of people did over the holidays, when you stop eating so many carbohydrates, the sugar train comes to a crashing halt. You will have to expect a transition period as your body adjusts. It's sad, but true. If you were like me and you enjoyed hundreds, if not thousands, true, carbs a day, back in the diggity day, your body got used to that feel-good glucose pumping through the veins. That's how I used to do it. I ate hundreds, if not 1,000 carbs a day. So when I stopped eating that many carbs, I mean, I went through serious sugar withdrawal. That is not ketosis, okay? But when you do go cold turkey and you switch from glucose to fat for your fuel, your body might retaliate and you might feel cranky. You might feel tired. You might need your body to just kind of detox for a bit. So keep that in mind. Okay. Helpful? Yes? Thumbs up? Comments? I mean, what's your experience? I can't be the only one that has something to say about this. I know that you guys have things to say too. So please, let me know what you think. Moving on. I know the fun part is always the show and tell, so I want to get moving over here. The biggest thing, like we talked about, is being sure to keep hydrated, okay? So you're going to drink lots of water, right? Now, how much water do you drink? I think this is a personal decision for everybody. For me, I probably drink a gallon of water a day. That's a lot. I don't know how many ounces that is, but that's a lot. So you need to figure out what makes you feel best. I think everyone's different, but err on the side of more. But is water just enough? Like, do you need just plain old water? Kind of like I held up here. Or do you need to make sure that you're having like electrolyte infused water? See, now we're getting all technical. Here's an example of a product I really like. This is Propel, and they come in different flavors. These are all sugar-free. And I love this stuff. This is a berry example, and it's electrolyte water beverage. And it's very tasty. Yes, it's dirty keto, so go ahead and enjoy it because it does have chemicals and Lord knows what else. I don't really care. I mean, there are some more natural approaches, but for me, I make sure that every day I'm having some electrolyte infused water. And I use a bunch of different brands. And you'll have to find one that works for you. Just because I like a particular product doesn't mean you will. Here's another one I really enjoy. This is Powerade Zero Sugar Sports Drink. These still have some net carbs in them, so you do need to be careful of that and, you know, count those in what your daily carb spend. But these also come in different flavors, and they're around $1 each. I find Walmart generally has the best price, maybe 79 cents each, but they're pretty tasty. And for me, they really ward off any kind of electrolyte imbalance. So, you know, just like alcohol on New Year's Eve, think about ketosis as something that you have to replenish your fluids. And this can be a great product for you to do so. A lot of people like Gatorade Zero. That's a very popular product. Also, have you ever heard of Smart Water? Smart Water is maybe not with all the flavors. It's just kind of plain water, but it's also electrolyte infused. And there's a variety of different brands. But be sure that you're picking one out and enjoying it on a regular basis. If you're challenged with water, maybe you can try something like my kids do. My kids both have these Hydro Flasks. It keeps your water hot or cold, and you can put ice in them. It lasts all day. I know. And they have them in all different sizes. So if you want the big gallon one or this size, whatever you want. And they have the off-brand. They're all kind of the same now. And it's aluminum inside. So if you want water with lemon, maybe heat it up. If you're in a cold weather climate, or if you want ice cold drinks like my kids, you could just take that with you wherever you go. That's like a whole different issue, trying to get more water, isn't it? And let's say you just don't like plain water. That's okay too. Enjoy sparkling water, like Pellegrino. That's fine. This one is just plain, but there's obviously a ton of different varieties of sparkling waters out there for you to choose from. Whatever is going to help you drink more water is what you want to do. Don't be picky. Don't be judgmental. Don't be so worried about like, oh, this one's not keto. This one has flavorings. This one's blah, blah, blah. Just do what you like and don't worry about other people. You know, so what if you like little Kool-Aid flavors like Stephanie? That's okay. I'm with you. I also buy a lot of these. These are like a house brand, Rite. Let's see, Safeway, Sunny Select. Like all the grocery stores have their own off-brand sparkling flavored water. These are calorie-free, sodium-free, caffeine-free, but you know what? I'm getting more water in and I feel good about myself because I'm hydrating. And they taste good. And you can mix these with other things too. We'll talk more about mixing because I know you started to go down that path, didn't you, about alcohol? I could tell. That's coming. Okay. So in addition to the waters, what about soda? I have here Diet Grapefruit. This is just the cheapo, you know, knockoff brand. But any kind of diet soda that does not contain caffeine would also help you to replenish your fluids. So go for it. If you like diet soda and it's caffeine free, find a flavor you like and drink it. Who cares? The point is that you're trying to keep your fluids up. don't try to be so perfect. Did you write that down? That was an important message. Stop trying to be perfect. You're just trying to balance your electrolytes and increase your fluids. That's it. Don't try to be perfect. The rest of this stuff is too much. You know, we talked about adding flavors to water. This is one of my favorites, Crush powder. I buy these in a ton of different flavors. And I've shared this with you guys in the past. And I know we've talked about this where some of these have carbs, like quite a bit. Like some have 1, 2, even 3 carbs per packet, or even half packet serving. And that really angers me because I was drinking a lot of these. And so a lot of you here in the group suggested I switch over to the liquids. And here's Mio, very popular brand. And these are delicious. And they don't have that, I think it's like maltodextrin maybe. That's the stabilizer, the powdery stuff that keeps it in here. It doesn't have that. So according to the package label, it doesn't have carbs. I don't know if we should believe them or not. I tend to put a lot in, so I might be breaking the rules, but whatever. I'm going to give this a try here in 2021 and see what my opinion is. But you tell me too if you have a different experience or if you have a flavor or product, because I'm sure that you have discovered some as well. My daughter likes to use Noon tablets, N-U-U-N. These are sugar-free. Some have some carbs. There's different flavors, but these are an electrolyte tablet that you actually add to your water. Actually, I would add this to plain water and shake it up. I used this a lot when I was running in marathons and such because I was okay with getting those extra carbs. You know, I was really active and running a lot. So for me, this made sense. It gave not only energy, but replaced the electrolytes. But for you, if you're trying to lose weight and you're not as active and you're not, you know, running or doing hardcore aerobic activity, this may not be the best choice. But you can also break it into tablets. People love this stuff, especially for a hangover, because it really does rehydrate and with the water and restore those electrolytes. And I buy these at Target, and you can also get them at like sporting goods stores like Dick's or Big Five, or online, of course. But it's called Noon, and I volunteered with them, just as a caveat. I volunteered as an ambassador with Noon for years just because I liked their product. And they never sent me free stuff. I never received payment. I just liked the product. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I never think you should start any kind of supplementation without talking to your doctor first. So keep that in mind. If you're thinking about like buying supplements at Rite Aid or CVS or your local drugstore, make sure you're talking to your pharmacist and your healthcare provider because it's easy to overdo some of these things and they can become toxic. So not just like, you know, Tylenol is good in small doses, like for a headache, but if you take a whole bottle of Tylenol, that's toxic. You see what I mean? So supplements can do the same thing. At the correct amount, they're perfect for you, but if you overdo it, you can have a lot of trouble. So please check in with your healthcare provider about that. Now I mentioned not every, you know, product has to be one of these sugary things like me, like the sweet, sugary, sweetie type deliciousness that I prefer. Some of you might prefer to go more natural. I don't know how natural this is, but this is just bouillon, okay? Now you might make your own pot of like bone broth. That would be something you could do with your chicken or whatever poultry you're cooking. You just boil the bones in water, drain it, and then keep your broth. I like to go the shorthand method of using the bouillon cube in hot water or buying a can of pre-made broth, and I'll heat that up and drink it as well. That's a great source of restoring your electrolytes as well as getting some more fluids in. Cheating, right? It's fun. We've talked about the importance of having no caffeine when you're trying to rehydrate yourself, right? So if you're wanting to go down the herbal tea route, one of my favorites is Good Earth brand. This is their caffeine-free flavored herbal tea. If you have not tried this, this is like the best tea in America. It's very spicy and it tastes sweet without any added sweetener. It's amazing. So I use this for hot tea and iced tea. You will love it. It's delicious. I found this when I was going to a restaurant in Santa Barbara called The Good Earth. They used it. It was so good. Whatever herbal non-caffeinated tea you choose, that works. That will help you restore your hydration levels. You just have to also work on restoring your electrolytes too, because they're two different things. I mentioned broth. I don't always make my bone broth from scratch. Sometimes I do, but other times I'm lazy and I just heat up a cup of broth pre-made or using a bouillon cube and some hot water. Cheat. Don't forget about almond milk or any dairy unflavored, sugar-free, dairy alternative milk. Soy, almond, cashew. There's so many choices, right? Hemp. Buy the sugar-free, unflavored variety. Usually they're around 1 gram of net carbs per 1 cup serving. And these are often fortified or contain calcium. And calcium is one of the electrolytes that you're working to restore. So I mentioned electrolytes. I know it gets a little confusing. Even when I was new at this, I'm like, what does all this mean? So I get that. There's the water. That's the one thing. That's just the hydration part. But then there's also the electrolyte component. So electrolytes, just to lay it all out there on the table. Electrolytes, I want you to be thinking about potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium. So again, don't run out to the store and just start taking a supplement, because that could get you in a whole host of trouble, right? Instead, what I recommend is having foods and drinks that maybe already contain that. Because you know me, I'm big with Dirty Lazy Keto on real food is all you need. You don't need specialty products. I think that's what gets us in trouble. Some of the foods that I just mentioned, or the electrolytes that I just mentioned, helpful foods where you can get these electrolytes in the foods. So like leafy greens, for example, spinach, broccoli, any kind of leafy green, you're going to be getting some of these electrolytes that you need. Plus, they're good for you, right? Then you're helping to ward off the keto flu. Another one that I know you're going to love is avocados, right? We all love these. And you may not enjoy an avocado just straight up, but as I mentioned in the beginning, I blend one up in this shake and it tastes like chocolate. I mixed it with chocolate powder, sweetener, vanilla, some ice, some coffee. And I have a modified version of that recipe in the Dirty Lazy Keto cookbook. It's like a chocolate shake or something. But I kind of vary it according to what I have. Like if I don't have any coffee laying around extra from the morning, then I won't skip that. So avocados are a great food to get these resources. I eat a lot of peanuts myself. Some people that practice strict keto are like, oh, you shouldn't have legumes. Well, I don't think so. I love peanuts. I like almonds. I like macadamia nuts. I think these are great. And they're a great healthy snack on the go. And they also help restore some of that sodium that I might be losing from being in ketosis, right? So think about that. You need some salty food. Maybe that's why we all love bacon. It could be. Maybe. Here's some more. So I talked about leafy greens, and it doesn't have to be fresh. Here's spinach in a can. I talk about this a lot in the Dirt Cheap cookbook. I don't think we need to be so perfect with our fruits and vegetables. So what if you want to have canned vegetables or canned, berries or whatever? Cut corners, make this easier for you. It's also a little bit less expensive and maybe more available according to where you live. So I'm all about making it work for you, taking shortcuts, right? You want to make this easy, not so complicated, just simple. Introduce these foods into your diet all the time. We talked about calcium. You need to make sure that you're having enough foods rich in calcium, like yogurt, for example. And we talked about calcium being in the milk products or dairy products, and cheeses, of course, but that can be an easy way to do it. What else? Mushrooms would be another example. I didn't have any in my office to show you. Salmon would be another one. That's a great food rich in potassium, as is mushrooms. Shrimp would be another great one for calcium. And then I bet some of you are texting or putting in the comments right now, you're thinking about pickles. Pickles are full of sodium, and this can be an easy drink for you to restore some of those electrolytes. And it's natural, and it's not all sugary like Stephanie's favorites. The pickle juice is just something you can kind of sip, like just have a little sip or eat some pickles. Simple way. So I hope some of these gave you ideas, and it's fun too to see. I want to just wrap up real quick by showing you some of the products that can cause harm or maybe cause problems, because these might be ones you want to avoid, okay? Or just be aware of. If you're having black tea, which I love, I like a little caffeine sometimes. If you are having black tea or you are having coffee, which we all do, keep in mind that these will exacerbate ketosis symptoms. So, I'm sorry, not ketosis symptoms. It'll exacerbate any keto flu symptoms. So you're already in ketosis, and then you're drinking coffee and tea all day, which most of us do. That might exacerbate any kind of feelings of dehydration. So if you are enjoying these foods, these drinks, make sure you're upping your non-caffeinated drinks. Up, even more. So if you want these, you gotta, pay for it on the back end by drinking more water. The same can be said for folks that are loving their diet soda with caffeine, okay? These all have a dehydrating effect. So the more caffeine you drink, the more water you have to drink to offset it. So yes, you can have this. I do. I have a Diet Coke and Diet Dr. Pepper. Heck yeah. But I also make sure if I'm having that, I'm going to drink more water to balance it out, because I don't want to get a headache. I don't want to feel gross. I don't want to feel tired and crabby or end up with a migraine. No. And these waters, some of these flavors have caffeine too. So be careful with your packaging. Take a look at that. I was surprised. And I didn't have my glasses on. And I kept drinking this all day. I'm like, this is delicious. Little did I know that was causing my headaches. I needed to cut that out and drink more water. And then, of course, everyone's favorite, right? Alcohol. We have low-carb beer. We have our wines. Notice they're all full. I didn't open these. We have our beer. We have our wine. We have our hard alcohols. So all of these alcohols, White Claw, all these yummy low-carb, tasty beverages, which are totally fine for you to enjoy on Dirty Lazy Keto. Keep in mind that those also have a dehydrating effect that causes you to urinate more. It causes you to lose electrolytes, and you will need to increase the amount of water, increase your electrolytes to make sure that you're not starting to go down that path of dehydration. Does that make sense? Hey, we've all been there. Even the most experienced of us have had this happen once in a while. I know I was on a flight a year ago today. I went to New York. I was on the Today Show. And because I was flying, I wasn't drinking as much water. I was really nervous about being on the show, and I didn't want to have to go pee like 85 times while I was waiting my turn. So for like 2 days, I wasn't drinking water, and I started getting a horrible, horrible migraine. And I was like, first of all, I thought I was dying. And then I realized, no, I'm just not drinking water. And I'm not, because I'm still eating low carb, but I wasn't refueling and I wasn't getting the electrolytes I needed. So I quickly rectified that and then turned that train around. So it happens. It happens to all of us. Not just, the new people. Even if you take a little break for the holidays or a birthday or whatnot, or a weekend, and then you're getting back on that train, this is something you got to think about. You'll have to overdo it with the water, overdo it with the electrolyte drinks or system that you have to get that all balanced out. From my personal, what I've observed in Dirty Lazy Keto Get Started, I share on page 195. I had to put my glasses on. But if you have your copy at home, you can go to page 195. And I talk about the symptoms of the mythical keto flu. And it can really range from mild to severe. Okay. So it can be all over the place. You can have heart palpitations. You can have racing heart. You can have fatigue, just general tiredness, dizziness, shakiness, headaches or migraines. Let me know if any of these are sounding familiar to you, if you've experienced them. What about leg cramps? Anyone have the leg cramps or any other muscle cramps, especially at night for some reason? What about constipation or a weird feeling of bloatingness or just weird bloatness? Nausea or vomiting, fever, like overheating feeling or like a heat stroke type of symptoms. Maybe you're not sweating properly. Serious consequences or serious symptoms could even be a lack of urination where you're not going pee at all. Kidney failure, seizure, coma, and death. So you can see how the range starts from like mild, like, oh, I'm just crabby, I'm having some tiredness, to something more serious where it's like, oh, I have a headache, to alarming where you're having heart palpitations, and then all the way up to like crazy off the wall experiences where you're needing to be hospitalized or rescued, right? Because these are all things that can happen. And you know what? There's one thing I didn't add in the book is one of the symptoms can be that you feel like giving up. I have a good friend who told me that's what keeps her from really restarting Dirty Lazy Keto. She took a little break and she's afraid to start again because she feels like, I don't want to go through that. So that can be a symptom as well, where you just don't even want to try. You're worried, emotionally, you might have some feelings that get in the way. So please share your tricks, your suggestions for avoiding the keto flu on Dirty Lazy Keto, because we want to hear from you. I just wanted to say thank you for listening. I appreciate your support. This is a community, Dirty Lazy Keto. We have to help each other. We're in this together, my friends. It's not easy, is it? We gotta support one another. So if you found today's video to be helpful, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and then subscribe to the Dirty Lazy Keto YouTube channel. Turn on your notifications so you'll never miss an update. You can also find me on Instagram at Dirty Lazy Keto. And for more information about any of my support groups or any of my books, you can always go to dirtylazyketo.com for more information. I'm here to support you. I'm here to help. I know you can do it.